The third and final key quality is think independently. So when it comes to investing, it can be tempting to follow the crowd and investing in what everyone else invests in. But the most successful investors are often those who are able to think for themselves and make independent decisions based on their own research and analysis. So this is a quote by Benjamin Graham. This is Warren Buffett's mentor. He says, the intelligent investor is likely to need considerable willpower to keep from following the crowd. So as humans, we're all very social creatures. We see other people do it, we follow. Like for example, fashion trend. We see this is an in thing, we want to be part of it. But it says here, as an intelligent investor, following the crowd is not something you want to do. In fact, most of the time, you want to do the exact opposite. Um, so the key main point here is only trust yourself. First, read the news with caution. So news outlets, why I say read it with caution is that because news outlets are often incentivized to make stories more interesting, so that often exaggerate the impact of market events, which can lead to inaccurate or incomplete information. Why they do this is because they want viewers. So it's how they make money. So always take their information with a pinch of salt. Uh, and when reading news, you only want to get facts from these news articles rather than opinions. So an example would again be the 2023 banking crisis, which I've talked about. Um, So recently, a bank called First Republic got bought over by JP Morgan because of liquidity concerns. This is a fact. It got bought over and it had liquidity concerns. Um, However, there are some analysts that suggest that other similar regional banks will be affected and it's time to sell the shares of those banks as well. So for example, um, shares of Western Alliance Bancorp, shares of PacWest Bancorp, they say that these banks are going to go bankrupt. Sell it now. That is an opinion. So you need to be able to differentiate between facts and opinion. So a reason for this is that news articles sentiments they change very very quickly. So they can say that similar banks like what I said earlier, are going to fail. But I remember seeing a few days ago that they say the worst is over. So what information should you trust? So just building up on the previous point, the next point is never trust professional analysts. So while analysts can provide valuable insights into companies and even industries, they're not perfect. These analysts are often biased. They have conflict of interest, and like they, as humans, often make mistakes as well. Therefore, you should never solely base your investment decisions on analyst recommendations. Instead, what I recommend is to use their insights as a starting point and do your own research and analysis on top of that. So you can, so you have your own opinions and then you can build your own story. So if you look at this article, it says the number of mutual funds that consistently beat the market over 5 years. None. So none of the mutual funds, not one in 2,132, beat the market. What does this tell you? It tells you that professional analyst opinions might not give you a, will not give you a significant advantage. That's one thing you can take from this article. Another thing you can take from article is probably index funds, like probably the market is referring here, index fund. The S&P 500 is probably a very good item to invest in. I will talk more about this later, but hey, if no one, if nothing can beat it, that means it must be the best. So why not just get into, why not just buy the market? So just reiterating my previous point, it says here, according to 2020 report, over a 15-year period, nearly 90% of actively managed investment funds failed to beat the market. So these portfolio managers are often Ivy League educated investors who spend their entire workday attempting to outperform the stock market. If investment professionals can't consistently beat the market, it's unlikely that the typical at-home investor will achieve better results. Again, strengthening the point that actually buying the market, the S&P 500, Standard & Poor Index, is actually a very good investment choice and is one of the best things to buy if you don't want to actively research or don't want much hassle in investing. Uh, Last but not least, to make informed investment decisions, it's important to have a thorough understanding of the company or industry you're investing in. So this can include reading financial statements, for example, balance sheets, income statements, cash flow statements, which I'll teach you later on how to actually uh, understand it and draw the key insights from it. Um, so doing your own research will help you to make a lot more informed decisions and avoid making investment mistakes. So I'll just like to really do your own research. So an example I'll show you of not doing own research is this Dogecoin example. So during the hype, there's this famous guy called Elon Musk tweeted this tweet: Dogecoin is the people's currency. So Elon Musk is an entrepreneur, sort of a celebrity, and he's by no means an investment professional. Yet after this tweet, you can see it's dated February 4, 2021, right before the peak of 7 May. He tweeted, Dogecoin is the people's currency, and the share price shot up like crazy. Because I can tell you that people isn't even thinking. That they're just they say, oh, Elon Musk buys it, let me just buy it. I call this gambling. So what I would like to close for this chapter is that don't be afraid to go against the crowd. If you've done your research and analysis and believe that an investment opportunity is undervalued or overlooked, don't be afraid to invest in it, even if other people are skeptical. And on the flip side, don't be like all these investors um, that follow the hype. If you think something is bullshit, don't follow the hype and just completely ignore it. See you in the next lesson.